ॐ न सदासीन्नो सदासीत्तदानीम् नासीद्रजो नो व्योमा परो यत् किमावरीवः कुहकस्य शरमन्न अम्भः किमासीद् गहनम् गभीरम् न मृत्युरमृतन्नरहिना रात्र्या अन्न आसीत् प्रकेतः आनीदवादग्गस्वरया तदेकम् तस्माद्धान्यन्न परः किञ्चनासा तम आसीत् तमसा गूढमग्रे प्रकेतम् सलिलग सर्वमा इदम् तुच्छेनाभ्युपहितं यदासीत्.
Today we have with us an esteemed retired professor of philosophy, Dr. Mangala Chinchore, and through this interview we are going to take a look at her philosophical career and her journey since taking up philosophy as a student, and the kind of contribution that she has done to philosophy, and through a glance at her career and her experiences, I'm sure we are going to share a lot, and we have a lot to take away from her experiences that we will know about philosophy. So I would like to first of all ask Dr. Chinchore as to what is it that made you take up philosophy, because if we look at the graph, we can see that you have a long standing experience of 30 years of teaching and 32 years of research in philosophy. So what is it that particularly drew you towards the field of philosophy?
When I was in 5th standard, at that time I was in Jalgaon, and Professor Sonopanta Dandekar, I remember 2 lectures he delivered at that time, and those lectures created a lot of impact on my personality. Later on, after doing my schooling, I was not that much serious about it, but due to accident, I will say, when in the FYBA I got the highest marks, 99 out of 100, there was one award to a student. If you opt for philosophy after doing logic in the FY, then you will get the full free ship,
Okay.
scholarship. And suddenly I remembered, oh, this is philosophy, and this is the department. In SP College he was a principal. So this is the department where I can start my career. And from then onwards, I started doing philosophy. I remember in SY, I wrote one research paper, and that was awarded first prize. Then later on, just as I was having prizes, a Salve prize also was there for my essay. And this is how in the undergraduate itself I was having inclination towards philosophy. And when I completed my BA, till then I was doing earn while learn scheme. I was also instructor, so I was earning money for my fees, yearly fees. At that time they were very small
Nominal.
amounts, but still, to stand on our own, that was the something which was an instinct and passion that I must be independent, I must do something. And when I completed my BA, Dr. Gole, Leela Gole was my teacher, and Dr. Kavle was my teacher. They insisted that you every year in SP College, part 1 was there 1 year, and second year part 2 was there. So that year MA part 1 was not given any admission. So they insisted that you go to Pune University, and there you will get very good teachers, and you please do, because you have got very good asset of logic. So you do something in logic, you will get very good teachers there. At that time I remember that people used to say that Professor V.S. Naravane was the heading the department. Now Professor Barlinge, who is new, he has come.
Taken.
And At that time, Professor Sundarajan was there to teach us Western philosophy. Professor Barlinge used to teach us Wittgenstein and Indian philosophical traditions, one or two. Professor Marathe taught me logic, and that created a deep sense of no, I must do something in logic. So I started my career at that time, and even at MA level, my first research paper in Indian Philosophical Quarterly student supplement was published, and that gave me the confidence that yes, this is the area where we can do. Later on, so many people came in my life. I was asked by Professor Marathe, who guided me for my PhD, to do basic learning in Sanskrit. If the Sanskrit base is there, then and then only you can learn the text, because philosophy department has an asset right from the beginning, that we have insisted on original text being read and also original philosophers being read. So, if at all you want to do anything, you have to first read the text. So, reading original text was the asset of the department till today. That tradition has been preserved, and that is the uniqueness of our department, which we too also enjoyed. I remember Aristotle, Plato, dialogues of Plato and Aristotle's works, original we have read in that department. For 3 hours, 4 hours, we used to have discussions. Even a small novel or a poem at that time used to be discussed, and that is something which provided scope for all of us to develop.
So that brings us to another point which everyone knows, that you have in all these 30 years or 32 years, you have specialized in Indian philosophy.
Yes.
So again, like philosophy was an informed and a passionate decision, was Indian philosophy too a decision that you took? Was there any time when you felt you had a choice between the two, or were you drawn towards Indian philosophy always?
Yes, I would like to say that when I was doing my MA, in MA Part 1, I have published my first research article under the guidance of Professor Sundarajan on verifiability principle.
Okay.
And Professor Sundarajan was teaching us analysis, so many papers. Analysis was their philosophical understanding. Very much we have earned Western philosophical understanding. We earned from Professor Sundarajan. I owe a lot. But there itself, I decided that no, my choice, if at all, is Western and Indian, my choice is Indian. Why? Because it is something which we live, which we like, which we understand, and which is useful for us. So, Indian philosophy is something which needs to be done, and that is how I was interested in doing Indian philosophy. Another reason was that if at all you are interested in doing Western philosophy, unfortunately, we never pay attention to languages. And if Western philosophy is there, you must know German and French. But instead of doing that, we use translation. Say for example, Kent Smith's translation we use, but we never learn it from original. What happens that when we read translation, already interpretation is there. So we don't have direct access, and our own comprehension is not there in Western philosophy. And I was very much comfortable with Sanskrit. Naturally, reading various texts was a possible venture for me. So I did in Indian philosophy as a mission.
Taking that mission forward, you have in the real sense taken it forward by getting international acclaim, particularly for your work in Buddhism. And you have been recognized internationally. So how did that entry into the international philosophy academia begin? What was the starting point for that?
When I started doing my PhD, at that time Professor Marathe, who was my guide, he insisted that if at all you want to do in Buddhist philosophy begins from Pali. then we have Sanskrit literature, but various works are not available in Sanskrit. Now, if at all you want to do philosophy and logic to be precise, then you will have to learn Tibetan and Chinese. So, I started learning Tibetan and Chinese. My teachers, Professor V.V. Gokhale, who was in Shanghai University for years together, Professor P.V. Bapat. For Pali, I was fortunate enough to have Professor R.D. Wadekar. He taught me. And for Sanskrit, Professor Apte, whose dictionary is there, he taught me. He taught me Sanskrit. So, I was lucky enough to have very good teachers. Naturally, they prepared me to confront various problems, and their insight, their entire gist of understanding that has percolated in me. It happened that after my completing PhD, almost in 89, 84 I completed, 82 I completed, and 89. At that time, my first PhD work, that is Vadanyay, was published by Indian Book Center. It was sumoto publication. They offered me royalty, everything. So, I was very much thrilled. Similarly, my Hetucentricity of Anumana, that was published by Motilal Banarasidas, it was also sumoto, and they also gave me lot of royalty. So, it was a very prestigious at that time. And suddenly one day I received a letter from Professor Steinkilner from Vienna. He said that we are going to conduct an international seminar on Dharmakirti, and you will be the chairperson because you have already done a lot of work and you are the only one who has worked on Vadanya. So, you be the chairperson of Vadanya and you please come. Entire trip to Europe was sponsored by Science Academy Vienna Circle. Wow. So, it was a thrilling experience for me. I was invited by Lausanne University, I was university by Copenhagen, Oxford, so many universities at that time, Hamburg University. I went there and I delivered lectures. A warm welcome from them was there, and from then onwards, Professor Baumhost, Steinkilner, everybody used to help me. Whatever I need, reading material, I used to get it from them. So, I was lucky enough to have them. Secondly, I was also fortunate enough that at that time for postdoctoral research fellowship, 3 foreign students, they were attached to me. In the meanwhile, after passing away of Professor V.V. Gokhale, Professor Umoi from Kyoto University, Japan, he visited Pune and he was doing his postdoctoral research fellow project on Sucharita Mishra's Tika, that is Mimamsa, and he used to come to study with me. Then Professor Fujja from ICPR, he was ICPR fellow, he was from Netherlands with me. Then also I was having Professor Shastri fellow from Canada, Chang. So, they also enriched my knowledge and I was having access to these. Later on, I also was, just as I was invited to Europe, European Union Commission invited me to China for how to do Indian studies, and there I was invited as an expert meet. From then onwards, Shanghai University, Japanese scholars, all those fellows were related to me and I was having access to. But just as these personal contacts were there, so to my papers and books published, they were also acknowledged in Philosopher's Index. Okay. And citations were there in Encyclopedia of Philosophy, lot of citations were there. Naturally, so many people were knowing me and I was lucky enough to have it. Later on in my career, I was having lot of fellowships from UGC. Naturally, that also helped me to establish my relations with other fellows.
So in this journey, your contribution to building this whole area of Buddhist philosophy for yourself, I'm sure hasn't been possible without the grooming that you got from your teachers, from your colleagues at work. So I have heard of, as a student of the Department of Philosophy, I have heard of those golden years of the department that you have been fortunate enough to be a participant of. So what would you say about the department and the atmosphere and the department and the people of the department of that time?
When I joined in 75 as a MA student, at that time I used to learn from my teachers that Professor V.S. Naravne was the founder, head of the department of this department. And at that time we were having only one room in the main building, where at present security people are there. Later on, when we came for MA at 75, in the ground floor where at present sociology department is there, only 4 rooms were there. Then we got also in the department, we were having lucky enough to have ULP program phase 1, phase 2, then DSA program phase 1, phase 2, out of which we were having also some space was built, some rooms were made available. In the beginning, only Professor Barlinge, Professor Sundarajan, Professor Marathe and Talgatti, they were the persons who were permanent staff. But when I joined in 84, at that time, because of these things, we were having 13 teachers post, and it was a really good experience to have time with them, learning from them, and lot of interaction. And I remember Professor Narsimha Rao, who became later on Prime Minister, he used to come and sit with us for a cup of tea. Professor A.K. Saran, Professor Dharmendra Goyal, Daya Krishna, K.J. Shah, A.P. Rao, P.K. Sen, so many persons I have seen. When I was doing MA at that time, Professor Arjundas Batra, Professor Kavle, Gole, Sohni Madam, then also we were having Barnabas, Madam Bhattacharya from Wadia College. So many people were there. Yes, one more thing which I have forgotten. Professor Kurunkar Shastri was a Nyay Pandit, and I was lucky enough to have discussions with him when I was doing MA. Similarly, Professor Sudhakar Shastri Dikshit, who later on went to BHU, he was Nyay Pandit in our department. We were having a very good tradition of Nyay Pandits, and they were the one who provoked us to ask the question, and we used to have dialogue, debates on various issues of Indian philosophy. I remember at that time when I was admitted to MA, very recently Summer Institute in Indian logic was conducted, and all the teachers were talking about it. So Indian logic was something which was a point of attraction at that time of the teachers as well as students. And we were having, as I was guided by Dr. Gole, under the guidance of Professor Marathe, I have learned propositional logic, predicate logic, relational, quantifier and modal, many-valued, temporal, fuzzy, and which made me also to learn so many things in a different way, how to use it and how to understand Indian philosophy and logic, various kinds of logics in that framework. That is something which was fantastic. Golden time of my life.
You also mentioned about your the languages that you learnt. Coming back to your focus on Buddhism, you learnt apparently you learnt Tibetan and Chinese, apart from Sanskrit definitely, and also Pali. So I'm sure the knowledge of those languages has helped you immensely, both in carrying your further research as far as in the books that you have written and in the papers that you have published. So what do you have to say about the multilingual aspect of your
Yes, I was
scholastic?
when I was having the fellowship, national visiting associateship. At that time, I have visited just as Sampurnananda University and Sarnath in Varanasi. Similarly, I have visited Shanti Niketan, and Professor Vishwadev Mukherjee and Professor Suniti Kumar Pathak, they made me to learn so many insights of those languages and especially Buddhist philosophy, and that was an asset. Lama Chimpa also was there at that time, I remember. He used to, we used to sit for, I think, 12 o'clock we started and 8 o'clock we ended. So, for 8 hours, we were having continuously discussions on various things. Naturally, that has a lot of impact on me. The similar thing happened in Sarnath. I was lucky enough to have Professor Samdog Rinpoche. Professor Samdog Rinpoche, who later on became the Prime Minister of
Tibet.
Tibet in exile, he gave me a lot of confidence that you can do philosophy, and they have published my book. That is also an asset. He has written forward to
Forward.
it, and that is something which is unique.
Okay. Coming back to another question relating to philosophy in general. These days there is a trend of thought, one school of thought which believes that doing core philosophy is actually doing real philosophy. And there is another trend of thought which believes in doing applied philosophy because that has direct relevance to the problems and issues of the contemporary world. So what do you have to say about it, core or applied?
I think that till you do your MA, core systematic understanding in depth of the discipline, that is philosophy, in core, theoretical, if the base is clear, you can apply to any field. Say for example, I will give. Take for example, at our MA level we have logic course. Logic could be understood in various branches, but application of it could be in law, chartered accountants, MBA people require it, computer science people require it, medical colleges they have also logic, politicians they have to learn logic. Similarly, in competitive examination IFS, ISS, they have logic. Logic is the base. I remember when I was in FY, before that, uh, pre-degree course was there in which both Indian and Western inductive and deductive
Deductive.
logic was the basic
Core
paper,
course.
and that paper is something even today that should be taught, I think, for everybody, because in science if at all you want to argue, you have to be systematic, consistent, arguments are there, you have to properly argue it, you have to know the flaws in your thinking.
Yes.
The same thing in law, in argumentation is required, even in medical sciences you are required. So, core area, if at all we are talking, logic is the base which must be taught to anybody and everybody. To be proper understanding of any discipline, you require logic. Then coming to another very important thing which I will insist we must have, that is moral philosophy or ethics, to be precise. At present we have applied ethics in the form of professional, medical, environmental, but basic ethics where we learn values, that is something which is very important for anybody and everybody to be a proper person and to get satisfaction and contentment of doing anything and everything in life. If at all you are having the basic morality, you will be happy in life. So, that is something which core area will help you. Same is the case language. We are never clear and precise in understanding and presenting our thoughts. So, thinking and presentation of thinking in language. So, today we are talking about skills, but communicative skills and personality development has something to do with language. Here I would like to do a little bit digression. All the three areas which I have just now mentioned, Buddhist philosophy, when they are talking about 5 important vidya, they are there.
Included.
They are there. Now coming to one more thing, aesthetics. In life, you have to appreciate and create. Both the aspects are giving you joy. True joy of life and happiness you can only get if at all you have the aesthetic sense developed. Or take the case of religion, which is very important also at present, because we have lot of confusion whether in India or abroad, in east or west, what is meant by religion, and are we able to understand each other properly? What are the important things to live as a human being? That is something which is common to all the religions, and that is how I feel that inter-religious dialogue is essential to resolve conflicts, and for that philosophy has a lot to contribute. So, my humble understanding helps me to say that first have core, first have the proper basis foundation, Indian as well as Western. Western in contrast to Indian, because we are living in Indian civilization. Indian cultures are imbibed by us knowingly or unknowingly, and philosophical thoughts which come out of our experiences, practices, they have moorings in our culture and civilization. So, philosophy is not something which is completely segregated from life as in West, but we have values, we have important moorings, core, lineage in our culture and civilization. So, let us first learn ourselves, try to know ourselves, our traditions, our forefathers, instead of making only a motto that we have a rich past. Let us know it properly, imbibe it and use it. So, restore the tradition, preserve it properly, reinterpret it in the present context and find out the relevance. Relevance will give you application. That is something very peripheral. So, if you emphasize on only applicability, which may give you money but not satisfaction. So, for getting satisfaction of the true area, you have to learn in thorough core area. That is what I think.
So I think your answer exemplifies how Indian philosophy sometimes is considered to be dead and that there is no development in Indian philosophy. From what you have said, one who has done the core of Indian philosophy very well and has the fundamental, the foundations are right, then interpretation and re-understanding in every context, in every period is not impossible at all. It's open to a lot of interpretation.
Really speaking, when we are doing philosophy, we are contributing to philosophy. We ourselves are creating our own life and of others. How we are doing it? We are learning Indian philosophical traditions with the help of books. We are not doing traditional way of understanding philosophy. It is not history. It is the book which I have understood, I have appropriated in my life, how I reflect and respond on it and make it relevant for the present, not only for my life, but for others, my progenies, my next generation. If at all I develop an insight in them, then that is something very important, because they will be able to confront, respond, resolve lot of problems. And that is what I expect from my students. While I was teaching, I was all the time insisting that Original text, read it. This is the text. So, there will not be any pollution or confusion. But at the same time, what you have understood. Don't use the translation or Xerox copies of the books. What you have understood, make it a point to clearly write on it, reflect and respond to it. Then only you will be able to understand it properly, and then you try to appropriate it in the present context to make it relevant. And one important point, even though people say that how philosophy is important, it is not giving us money, it is not giving us job. Whenever I have given admission, I have told students, if at all you are coming here for money, philosophy is not money oriented. It is not lucrative for jobs. But in life, money is very less important. It is required, but after some time, it is joy, satisfaction, contentment that matters a lot, and that comes from philosophy. So, to become a good person, to become a civilized, moral person, to become a perfect human being, there are possibilities for you. And even today, if you ask me, I will say that at present even all over the world, people are asking, do you have a person who is well versed in all the works and philosophers of Sankhya tradition, Nyaya tradition, Buddhist philosophy, which in India is understood as a socio-political philosophy, but in West it is something different. It is a philosophy. Vaisheshik tradition, also Mimamsa tradition. Give me the expert who is specialized, who has acumen in that particular discipline. A lot of money is available. I tell you from my own experience, Ida from Indonesia, he worked on Shaivism and he had job now in Germany. Secondly, we were having Fujita, who is at present working in Hamburg University, and how he was only doing with Indian philosophical traditions. So, if at all you have expertise, thorough knowledge, then only you cannot be a mediocre and expect international recognition.
Yes.
For getting international recognition, you have to have the quality and come to the standards. You have to uplift yourself. They are not going to come you. You have to uplift yourself, develop your skills from within, and then only the scope is there. There is a scope even today. For philosophy, you will get jobs outside provided
You excel.
excel.
Your words are very encouraging, particularly for young philosophy enthusiasts who are really interested in Indian philosophy or in philosophy per se, but are scared that there may not be job opportunities or they may not help them earn a livelihood. But at the same time, the warning that you have given is that you cannot be mediocre and expect being internationally recognized. Coming back to that point of international recognition, I think a major milestone in your international recognition was when you were invited to write certain entries in the Encyclopedia of Religion and Encyclopedia of Hinduism from Chicago. So, could you throw some light upon that?
Encyclopedia of Hinduism, Chicago. I because of Sadhvi ji there, and also so many persons, they were knowing me, they invited me to write articles on various topics. But at the same time, they also requested me to edit some of the articles, entries which have come. I have done that. Professor Verma, then Professor Rao, they were there and they were knowing that I am working in Indian philosophical traditions and using original text, not the translations available traditional way in which they are written. Similarly, with reference to Encyclopedia of Religion, in which Buddhism is the one volume. There also Professor K.T.S. Sarao and Professor Arvind Ghosh, they invited, both are published abroad. Springer has published. At present also Springer is sending so many articles for me to review.
Okay.
And I am doing that work. They have knowledge that I am doing in this area, and I will do whatever I can in a proper manner. So, my methodology is something, research methodology is something which is recognized by them. You say that when we are writing encyclopedia articles, there is a difference between the research article and encyclopedia article. Encyclopedia article is something which is an introductory, but at the same time it should incorporate your views, but not
In a biased manner.
in a biased manner or in a extremist manner. And that is something you have to have a balance, and that is what they agreed. First article I sent and they immediately agreed, approved. So, later on I have with reference to Chicago I have 20 articles, and with reference to Hinduism that 13 articles are published.
So coming to what you're doing currently, apart from the ICPR Senior Fellowship that you have been very recently awarded, including that and apart from that, what are your plans for the near future or in the present?
At present, after getting nominated from ICPR as a senior fellow, I have started working on alternative epistemologies.
Okay.
Which is a very recent development. Since I am working on it, I will not go on elaborating it. But I can say that in the last 3 years after my retirement, as a tribute to my teacher, Professor Marathe, I have published his PhD thesis, postdoctoral thesis, and at present I am engaged in collecting his various articles, published or unpublished, to be published in the form of anthology. That is one aspect. Another is that when I was on sabbatical leave, I have completed one full work of Nagarjuna, Vaidalya Sutra, and his own commentary known as Vaidalya Prakarana, which is available only in Tibetan. I have translated it into Sanskrit and also in English. Almost editing work of it, again second version, because I have completed it. At that time it was a rough work. Now for publication I have to again revisit it. That is what I am doing. Thirdly, I am also working on various seminars, national seminars, which were conducted in Buddhist Study Center of UGC, and I was the director, and also I conducted so many seminars there. Out of that, 5 seminars proceedings in the form of anthology are getting published. Buddhism on conflict resolution and peace, Buddhism on social order and justice, Buddhism on equality, freedom. So many series are coming. Already some well-known publishing houses have asked me to submit my manuscript, but due to constraint of time and energy, some work is delayed. It will be in due course of time simultaneously to my alternative epistemologies will go on.
Okay. If I may, I have a suggestion to give you. Being a student of yours, I know you mentioned about the methodology for which you are really known, not just here in Pune or in India, but also abroad. I would really suggest if you could write an article about how to write a research paper or how to write a research article, particularly for UG and PG students who are yet not really introduced to research methodology, because that's become a need of the hour right now. So I have known students who are really capable but do not know how to articulate their thought or what methodology to follow when writing a paper. So if I may suggest, you can actually write an article.
I remember that in SP College, Ferguson College, Wadia College, I have delivered
Lectures,
even in
yes.
department also. I have delivered lectures how to write research paper,
Paper.
how to write a thesis, MPhil thesis, MA thesis, PhD
PhD
thesis.
thesis.
What is the difference between the three dissertations? How to write research project, and also major research at the higher level, how to write it. For that you require some, you have to conceive the entire plan. Even at present when I am doing it's a mega plan. It's a mega plan which I am doing, and for that every time you have to find out ready-made methodologies will not help you. They create barrier in your understanding. You have to evolve. Take for example, even a small example I would like to give and illustrate the point. If you go through the present computer, you find that there is a how to write notes and references. In that bibliography, how to write. There are three methods available. Chicago method, you have also Harvard method, but I have all the time come across problem, because if at all I want to write Tripitaka, say for example Majjhima Nikaya, how can I give the reference? Who is the author? What is the time? We don't know. Same is the case with Rigveda, Vedas, Upanishads, Ramayana, Mahabharata. Who is the author? It is not the method of Indians to take the credit. So there is no author.
Right.
So we cannot start writing bibliography with
the
author. We can start only with title of the work. Editing, various versions are available. So we have to write which version. Then we have to write also the editor, because various editors have done that. Then publisher, even publishers, we find that some publishers, they write version one published from this publication house, another from another house. So it becomes very cumbersome to even produce a single bibliography. While writing also references, one has to be very critical and meticulous about the corrections. Otherwise, lot of mistakes, the readers, when he or she goes to the given reference, he doesn't find. That should not be. Exact reference should be there. Then only it is having the research value. The same thing is there. When you are writing any research paper, book review, preface, or even foreword, you must know the difference between the two. And then only you start. You must first be clear what is your objective, how you are going to pursue it, why the same method and not any other method you are going to use. Then only things become clear. So clarity is much more important in research methodology. Then only you can arrive at the proper understanding of yourself, what you have done, and what you are going to present your understanding to others. They should also know it with clarity. So if the clarity is there, originality is there, nowadays we have also very good software
Plagiarism test.
to test the plagiarism. When my students submitted thesis and they were having zero plagiarism, I was very happy, because originality, uniqueness is something which is important all the time. I used to tell my student, and that is something which must be as a value, research value, it must be observed properly. We should not pledge from anybody, and if at all we are taking any point, it must be properly referred to, mentioned with respect, acknowledged properly, then only you use it. But while using it also, you have to appropriate it in your words, not his quotation. Otherwise your thesis become only quotation thesis. That should not be the case.
Your career of your 32 years career, like your teachers have had a lot of contribution in shaping you. As a teacher, I am sure your students too have contributed a lot towards your academic and personal development also. You just mentioned a few students of yours before this. So your students have exemplified your thought of how philosophy can be applied in today's date also. So could you give a few more examples of your students who are doing different things in different fields, which probably somebody doing academic philosophy wouldn't have imagined?
Yes, I am very happy to mention it that when I was teaching to my MA student, with all sincerity and seriousness, all my students used to listen. Even 5 hours I have taught. I remember Indian philosophy, people said it is very difficult, but I never found it very difficult because I used to teach Western philosophical problems, Indian philosophical problems, and a particular tradition or a controversy which is there with reference to that. Say, for example, when we are talking about Alaukika Pratyaksha, it is a controversy between Vedanta and Nyaya, which is much more important. When we are talking about Savikalpa, Nirvikalpa, Buddhist and Nyaya controversy is important. So, how each tradition uses a particular framework for analyzing a particular concept. So, concepts apparently may be the same, but the conceptions are different, and that is why they are different, because the very understanding of truth and knowledge is different, and that is something which is a joy to teach. And while teaching, I remember that students also, if at all they are very uh, enthusiastic, it depends upon the batch. If the students are very enthusiastic, they are knowing Sanskrit text already at the undergraduate level, they are learnt lot, then MA teaching becomes a joy and you enjoy. For their queries are something very important, they set you to think many a times, and that is what makes you very sharp in giving, because in giving answers there is really a test of your understanding. So, you have to find out proper understanding and interpretation that you are presenting. Then only they are happy, otherwise they are not happy with the teachers. But I was lucky enough that some batches I got, really they have given me satisfaction of teaching. And one paper syllabus is the same, but how you try to teach the syllabus, that is important, because already things are basics are being learnt at the undergraduate level. But if at all you are doing it properly, then new innovative understanding comes in, and that is something which helps the student to grow. Some of my student, I remember the first batch, Dr. Lakshman Kumar Tripathi was my first batch student. He did his MA in philosophy, PhD in philosophy under the guidance of Professor Sundarajan, but he was working in ethical problems, and naturally he later on shifted to MBA, and he professional ethics, he became expert. Or I remember some of my students, they became IS officers or in the secretariat. One of my student, Mohan Parasen, he is working and he is also having a lot of expertise in the core area today. His books are getting published. Similarly, as you are my student, even Naule is my student. I remember those batches where I was doing it. So, students get insight from you, and you get also some kind of inquisitiveness. In response to their inquisitiveness, you also get some clarity in understanding of yours.
So, coming back to philosophy and your opinion on philosophy, you did mention about how philosophy does play a very relevant and lively role in resolving certain conflicts of today. But in the light of your idea about philosophy, do you think that philosophy has any role to play in resolving the issues of conflict pertinent to the contemporary world, to today's world?
lot of contribution can be made from philosophy people. It is not only conflict resolution, but even giving. At many places we find, take for example, personality development is the very catchy word at present. But what is meant by personality? What is meant by integration? What is meant by tolerance? How to transform your own self? What are the methods which are available in Indian philosophical traditions? If you have the idea and get clues from them and develop your own thing, that is personality development. We don't need other models. Take for example, IQ, EQ, SQ, and at present we have also other Qs. But all these details, if at all you go through, not only Buddhist tradition has lot, but other traditions also, then you will find, oh, we have this, we have this. So, starting from learning Indian philosophical traditions itself will help you to develop your own personality. Nobody can stop you to develop, to grow, to progress, even in other areas other than philosophy. But philosophical base is something which is required. Unfortunately, people are not able to appreciate and understand it. But that is something which must be taught to one and all.
So, coming to almost the last question for today, what is your advice to young teachers aspiring to make their careers in philosophy, to become good researchers in philosophy, as well as to the students who have taken up philosophy? As somebody who has done philosophy all her life, what would your piece of advice be for them?
When I started my PhD, at that time I remember one person, I will not name, he said that, Madam, philosophy is not something which is going to give you any money. You will be remaining hungry. But I remember that for my PhD, I was having fellowship from UGC, ZRF, SRF. At that time, it was considerable, 300 rupees, 400 rupees for that index. At that time, it was very good. When I joined the department as a lecturer, really it is a non-planned post. It is a scheme post because in our department, philosophy department, this was the only department which was having promotion of Buddhist studies scheme, which was conducted properly. In all over India, if we go through, Hyderabad University was there, one more university, I don't remember, Nagarjuna University perhaps, and our university. 3 universities were given promotion of Buddhist studies scheme in 77. And the researches which were conducted there as compared to Pune University researches were so good that UGC gave us, instead of 1 fellowship, 2 fellowship, 3 fellowship, 4 fellowships we were, and when I joined in 84, even lecturership, non-planned post. It was not visioned even at that time. But if you do consistently hard work, somewhere it is noted. Excellence, hard work, no compromise with quality, if at all is there, consistently I have got fellowships. It is something one may find that I am saying, but consistently it is a record of mine in UGC. I was having JRF, SRF, Research Associate, National Visiting Fellow, Career Award, Major Research Project, and then Center for Buddhist Studies. Consistently, and when I was having Career Award, within the span of 3 years, only I was given leave. But within that 3 years, I have written 3 books and they are published. And out of that, 2 books have got National Best Book Awards. So, Recognition comes, but you have to do hard work, no compromise with hard work. There is no shortcut to success. Success and satisfaction comes only when you are devoted to the subject. At present also, even though people may think that this is something which is a great honor, but I say that it is a challenge to me because I have to write it at that level to the expectations not only of Indians but even abroad. People are expecting something from me. So, when I am talking about alternative epistemologies, I have to do it in a different manner altogether, and that is what makes me all the time vigilant, very careful about my own progress, and also whatever I have done that has brought a kind of prestige and honor to the subject, to the department and university. So, you are doing simultaneously, because I was on leave in the career award 3 years. So, students got the opportunity to be teacher for 3 years. When I was having major research project, naturally assistant were given. So, 2 students were having the job. So, job opportunity creation is something which automatically comes. In Buddhist studies also, we were having lot of funds. So many people were working there and you get a job, no problem. When I joined, my salary was 700 rupees. When I was working and became in 2000, I became reader. At that time, it was 13,000 rupees. When I retired, it was 1,85,000 rupees. So, you get money, you get proper recognition, provided you excel, you transcend your own limitations, you come to know what you are your own limitations and you do it. Nobody is going to come and help you. You have to do yourself. You have to throw out the barriers and overcome your own difficulties, inner or outer, and preserve your own morale by doing work. Work and work, that alone gives satisfaction.
You have spent a span of good more than 30 years of your life, and you have been associated very closely with the Department of Philosophy, Pune University. As I said before, a person's overall development has a lot to do with the kind of environment in which the person is and spends his time, his professional and personal time. So, how has the department, the staff, the non-teaching and the teaching staff of the department helped you in your development?
With reference to my teaching and research, Dr. Mrs. Kelkar, she was there. So, I was all the time, starting from SP College, she was there, and also here also in the department she was accompanied. Similarly, Dr. Rathod was there, Dr. Mohanlal Mehta was there, Dr. Bairam Shukla. All these persons, they were there in the department. They have also contributed a lot in the department. Just as teaching staff is there, so too in the development of any institution, we find that non-teaching or administrative staff also plays a very important role. In our department, Mrs. Auti, Miss Tagare, Mrs. Auti, Jayantrao Sardesh Pandey, Hambir, Moholkar, they were the one who were right at 9 o'clock dot in the department 1 hour before to take care of all the sweeping, all these things. And at 6 o'clock, even though department was closing, Moholkar used to be there if we are working to 7:30 also. So, they have contributed their might in the development of the department a lot. One may recognize it or not, that is a different story. They were getting salary just like we, but they were devoted. That the only word I will use. All the time, cooperation. That was something which we have received from them. Just as non-teaching staff and teaching staff is there, so too we were lucky enough to have very good persons at the authoritative level of the university. I will mention the name of Professor Gowarikar, Professor Kolaskar, Professor Takavle, to name the few, who have very much looking after the department and its growth and development. Same is the case, we were having very good registrars. Shobhana Patil, I remember, she was a law officer as well as registrar. She has given lot of advice to me personally as well as department. Didi Deshmukh, Saure, they were the one who have helped in the growth and development at ULP phase 1, 2 or DSA program or even Buddhist Study Center when I was given the directorship by the UGC. All these things, they were the one who were giving guidance. Chitale, so he was also there, and we were also contributing in various capacities. I remember I was also Senate member, BOS, LIC, all the vigilance, examination, all the bodies I have worked. Science Congress, Jubilee sessions, in this I have worked a lot, but they were also guiding us, they were helping us, and they were providing some insights in administration. That is something which is very important, because accounts and administration is also very important, and that transparency we could enjoy because of these persons. So, I am very thankful to them. Very rarely people mention thanks and their acknowledge their might, but I will say that just as teachers are important, just as Professor Barlinge, Sundarajan, Marathe, Talgatti, they were the one who have contributed a lot in foundational framework of the department, which continued to it, and we were 13. So, a quite considerable staff was there. All the posts are there still today. Some of them are vacant, but some of them are filled. And everybody was enjoying all the seminars in department. We used to have very good seminars, very good people in the department, discussions. We used to enjoy from 10 to 7 o'clock. We used to be in the department as a student as well as teacher, and there was no discrimination of gender, of class, caste or any type in the department. Never we have asked the student to which religion you belong. I have never asked. Same, I have never asked anybody in the department. You ask any student of mine or any staff member, we never have discriminated. They used to take tea with us, non-teaching staff also. Students also used to take tea with us, and that was a joy for us.
So indeed the academic flourishment of the department could happen only because of this administrative background
Yes.
work that the non-teaching
Yes.
staff members
Yes.
were doing, and it's really rare, like you said, that you have acknowledged their
Yes,
contribution.
that must be acknowledged, that it is our duty and responsibility that these things must be acknowledged.
So the last question, it's not really a question, but your comment upon a person's career, whatever profession it belongs to, usually over a period of time develops the personality in line with that discipline or in line with the profession that he or she is into. Now taking up a profession in philosophy and taking that profession to a very high stature in the academic and otherwise world also, how has philosophy contributed towards making your life better or even like you spoke about in terms of satisfaction? So how has what kind of role has philosophy as a discipline played in your life?
Philosophy has played a very important role in my life Throughout my life, I was teaching and enjoying. Teaching and research for hours together, even if you do, it is a joy people are not able to understand. But really, reading, writing, thinking, again rewriting, and create also giving up our own mistakes, silly mistakes sometimes we make. That is something which makes you to think. Secondly, very important fact that whatever insight, philosophical insight and thinking comes, it comes from your life experiences, your own actions and your own various occasions which occur. At that time your test is there. It is first life and practice, then only comes the thought, and then only you can teach it to others. Purity of character, purity of values being observed is something which is really helpful in your own life. I remember my teachers have taught me that I have never taken a single pie, leave apart tea or any other gift from the student. The same tradition I have continued till my career end, till my retirement. I have not taken a single tea or any gift from any student, and that is how I am really standing. I am really happy because whatever is given by God to me is enough for me. I don't require anything. I don't require even money. Rather, I give money. I give donation. Whatever I have learned is to donate. Only knowledge is not to be donated, but I have enough, so I donate. And another thing, various institutions I donate, needy hospital patients I donate, but I don't want to disclose anything, how much amount to whom, where, I don't want to. But it is my duty and responsibility as a student of philosophy even today to donate. So, knowledge is to be donated as well as money is to be donated because I have enough. Secondly, you have to follow the rules. I am happy even today that income tax payer, throughout my life I have paid income tax. Even today I am paying and government has given me set. This is something which is important. Secondly, I have never asked for anything. Rather, what you deserve, you get. Don't desire, deserve first, and you get all. You don't require it to be asked. Whether it is respect, first deserve it and you get it. No problem.
So to conclude, I would like to say that it was really a pleasure interacting with you today. In spite of having been your student and having known you for years, what I have known you in the recent times through your through reading through the work that you have done so far and through interacting with you today has been really immensely inspiring. People like you, I must say, through their commitment towards philosophy as a subject and through their commitment towards the work that they do, are, I would say, living examples and sources of immense inspiration for people like us who are wannabe scholars of philosophy and teachers of philosophy. So it was indeed a pleasure to have interacted with you today. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you very much. I will say that only do your duty. Whatever you are doing, do it conscientiously without expecting what the results and consequences will be. Don't expect any honor or anything and do it. That spoils your joy. Rather, do it and you will get it. That is something which is the joy which I have derived, and I hope my students will also get it from their own life and teaching. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
ॐ न सदासीन्नो सदासीत्तदानीम् नासीद्रजो नो व्योमा परो यत् किमावरीवः कुहगस्य शरमन्न अम्भः किमासीद् गहनं गभीरम्